Recording in progress.
All right, so before we begin, I'm going to tell you how I'm going to divide this lesson. We're going to be dividing into two parts. In part one, I'm going to finish with Unit 2, Beyond British English. You're going to work on the two more variations that we have to discuss. One's going to be the Scottish, and the other one would be how the age influences when people tend to produce speech sounds. Once we finish with that, you're going to have the break. And after the break, we're going to begin with your speeches in order to evaluate you. And at the end, I'm going to give you the last assessment. That's going to be pretty short, okay? And you're going to have the week to send this. About the videos, I haven't checked them yet because I don't know what happened, but I'm a little bit lost with the file. So I didn't find the video. So at the end of the lesson, I want you to share the link with me. So it would be better for me or easier to open the file and evaluate the videos, okay, from last week. That was the thing, because I spent the whole morning trying to discover the link, and I didn't want to bother you during the day because I know you were working. Also, I was working as well. So I wanted to take some minutes of this lesson for you to send me the link, share the link with me. Okay, so last lesson, we talked about accents. We talked about the British and the American accent. And I explained that the main difference between the British and the American is the rhotic sound, or the rhotic. There's a rhotic accent. On one hand, we have the American that's called rhotic accent, because Americans tend to produce the R, when it's at the end of words. However, when we talked about the British accent, we may face that they don't pronounce the R sound at the end of certain words. However, based on the video and the explanations from Phonetics 1, there are two things that we discussed. On one hand is linking R, all right, when there are a concept which ends with R, and the next one would be a vowel, so there would be an R when the British pronounce them, and also there will be an intrusive R in order to also connect the speech when they speak. So the objective of today is to continue working on the identification of English variations. So you're going to identify English variations. So in order to begin, we are going to go with the Scottish accent. Well, the Scottish, most people say that's very hard to understand because there's some differences between the British and this one. Remember that when we talk about Scottish, we're talking about the UK. I'm not talking about American accent because that's far away from the UK. It's far away from Europe. So the Scottish accent is very different from the British one, the standard British accent. So first of all, there are many accents of British accent, but one that is spoken by a large number of people and is radically different from the British one is the Scottish accent. Remember something I told you last week. There's phonology which sets the rules. They say the pronunciation of this word is this one, and that's the rule that you have to follow. But in terms of phonetics, remember that phonetics describes the speech of different speakers. Because, for example, we know that phonology would say that pronunciation of one word would be with, I don't know, if I say the vehicle, car, the pronunciation would be and nothing more, because that's phonology and they set the rule for that. Same thing with stress. For example, last class I taught you that we know that we have to say realize. However, we might face other accents and people tend to pronounce realize, so they stress on the second syllable. So remember, that's phonetics, and phonology is they set the rules. Also, it's important to understand that there is much variation from one part of Scotland to another, right? Scotland is it's not a very big area. However, there are a lot of differences, okay, in the different areas of Scotland. I have a question before we move on. Have you ever, or do you have the opportunity, have you ever been in Europe or the UK? Okay, Danny, you said yes. Okay, can you tell me a little bit your experience? Did you have the opportunity to speak English with other people? I mean, native speakers?
Yes, in London.
And how was that experience? Can you tell me a little bit?
It's very difficult for me because in my mind or in my experience with the language is only the American English. And when they say, for example, water, when you say water, and these little words change all the sentence for
Yeah.
me, for example, for I understood this way they speak, for example. When I lived about 3 months in Germany,
Okay.
and in my first stay in this country, my is English too, so they speak in another way too. So in here in general, it's very difficult to understand the English in my experience.
And when you
It's not
travel
clear.
to, okay, and when you travel to Europe, it was for pleasure or you were for business or studying?
No. My father lived about 10 years in Germany, in München, specifically in the south of Germany. And I have the possibility to know all these countries. And in my past, my first job, be the flight attendant in LAN.
Cool.
And
So,
a lot of travel.
and in terms of, for example, accent, do you adapt your speech or the way you understand them? Do you adapt that? Because
I understand that, but for me, it's a little bit embarrassing, or it's yes, embarrassing. Yo lo que me da vergüenza es hablarlo como ellos, como
okay,
very British.
yeah, it
Yes,
used to happen. Yeah, it used to happen with people, and you face like a real native speaker. You may
yes,
believe that they're going to say, "Are you joking? Are you laughing about me?" Because no, because the way
yes.
they speak.
It's the same when you are in Spain, for example, and you pues hostia, y que no sé, y I think it's the same.
Yeah, you
Yes,
tend to imitate the accent. It used to
yes,
happen. Yeah, that's quite. Yeah, that's something that's very normal. Even if you go to Argentina as well, you tend to copy the accent they have. Yeah, I
yes,
remember I traveled with my parents to Argentina, and after a day, my dad was speaking as an Argentinian, so I didn't understand him at all. And I said, "Why are you speaking like them?" Yeah, but you tend to adapt your accent. I remember I had the opportunity to have like a long week with a British person. I was working with him. So I had to adapt my accent as well. However, I had this accent, but of course it's different because you tend to be more exposed to the American English rather than the British one. So you need to adapt your categories in your brain. Also, to adapt the words that you listen to. I remember that, for example, my experience with kids or my experience with, let's say, no kids, because my accent is very different from the one that I show you. Is very different from the one that I use at school. than the other one that I use at university. For example, I told you before, I am a part-time teacher at school, but my accent at school is very different. It tends to be more like a standard one. So I tend to mix American and British. And yeah, I
Oh,
just mix that when I speak to kids at school. However, when I teach at the university, that's different. So, for example, it happened to me the first time I met my students at college that they didn't know or they didn't understand anything I was saying. But after a week, they adapt everything, all the words, and also the accent as well. So that's why I ask you if you adapt your accent or if you adapt the way to understand what the way saying, because I know that it's more complicated. Sylvia, you wanted to say something? No.
no, I was just saying that I couldn't believe that you change your act with the students at school. I was like, oh, I was hoping that you said like that you talk like that also at school because I like
No.
your accent. If
No.
I wouldn't met you at the beginning, I would have thought that you were like Chilean, for example.
Yeah, the thing is, I tend to adapt my accent because for kids it's very complicated. I have to say that most of teachers at school they tend to use the American version or the Chilean way. So for me it's complicated because they, for example, I work with 11th 12th graders, so for them it's quite complicated because it's been a huge amount of time with teachers who speak American accent or with a foreign accent. When I say foreign accent, I mean that they have the Chilean there struggling when they speak English. So I have to adapt my accent. But there are some others one that actually understand when I speak to them, because I always say, when I teach English to my kids, I adapt my accent. However, when they want to talk to me, I don't know, in the hall, they reach me, approach me at the teacher's classroom, the teacher's room, I tend to use this accent because it's like face to face, it's closer, so it gives another a context when I talk to them. All right. So as I was saying, as I said before, Scotland, there are a lot of different accents there. And like the American accent described last class, Scottish English pronunciation is essentially rhotic. You may say, but why? Because the UK, they tend to use, they don't pronounce the R, at the end of the words. However, the British, the Scottish one, the pronunciation is rhotic. They use the R, but this R is like the Spanish one. And that's very funny because you know that, for example, try to use that in water. Water would be very American. However, if I said water, that would be more Chilean, Don't worry, Ignacio, welcome. So that's a rhotic one, okay? And it's more like the Spanish one, like we use in Chilean Spanish, or the ones that Spanish people use in Spanish, like real Spanish. So, for example, if we have the words shore, I would say shore because that would be the BBC, like the British accent, shore or short. Can be transcribed as shore, 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 shore. Okay, sure. I'm trying to do my best because for me it's really hard to change like Chilean and sorry, Spanish and English at the same time. That would be like shore, 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 and short, 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 short. Okay, shore and short. So the Scottish R sound is usually pronounced up flat or top. So that's how the, let's say, linguists call this a flat R or a tap R. right? And it's very close to the Spanish. So, Sylvia, how will you pronounce this sound then if we call this as the R sound in Spanish?
Short. No. Shore. Shore.
Shore, 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 shore. Try to think
Shore.
about the R in Spanish, like say,
Okay.
ratón,
Yeah.
morir, mori, shore, shore, shore.
Shore. Shore. Shore.
Yeah, shore, shore, shore. I want to go to the shore. Well, but not like shore, but shore, 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 shore. And the other one would be like short, short, short. Also, about the vowels in the Scottish accent, well, you know that I taught you when we speak British and American, we had like tense and lax or short and long. For example, if I say sheep, or I say ship, or if I say bin, or if I say bean, or if I say pin, or if I say peen, all right? So in the Scottish accent, that distinction does not exist. So we're not going to find differences between long and short vowels, right? They're not going to say like bean and bin. We are going to have the same pronunciation for those speech sounds, right? We're not going to find differences. For example, good, foot have the same vowel as some, and cot. Okay, cot, some, foot, good. And also the diphthong. Remember that when we talk about diphthongs, we talk about two vowels together. For example, there is A, O, A and O. In this context, in the Scottish accent, these diphthongs are not pronounced. So you're not going to listen A or O. So they're going to be listened as few vowels like O, right? But the diphthongs A, I, Oi exist as in the BBC accent. So it means that in the Scottish accent, you're not going to find A and O. However, you're going to find A, I, Oi. Now, we're going to watch a video to practice a little bit and to identify some differences. This is vocal trainer, or yes, a vocal trainer, or a vocal coach. I would say like a vocal coach. And this person helps people to get an accent. So pay attention to a short explanation that he provides about this Scottish accent and how to pronounce it. So please pay attention.
Now, the key to any accent is to isolate the sounds that are specific to that accent. So when I'm talking about a Scottish accent, I'm going to talk about a very generalised Scottish version of the English language, sometimes called Scottish English. There are, of course, many different accents depending whether you're in Glasgow or Edinburgh or Aberdeen. This one is probably what we'd call a general Scottish accent. Now, the first thing you need to work on is your R sound. So for most Scots speakers, they don't actually use the R that we associate. It would be very rare to hear murder with big long R's. It's much more common to roll the R just for one roll. It's called a tapped R. Bright red. So let's say bright red like that. Also in words like butter. And bird. Notice that it's tap, so it's not bird, or not bird, bird. Also, if you get an L after the letter R, sometimes you'll have an extra syllable on the word, so that girl becomes girdle, girdle, and world becomes world. The loveliest girl in the world. Our next feature is that the vowels in bath and laugh are the same as the vowels in trap and man. So quite often they're different for other accents, but in this accent they're the same. Bath, laugh, trap, and man. There's no difference. Bath, laugh, trap, and man. Also, the oo and vowels are the same. In the UK at the moment, there's a TV commercial with the tagline, good with food. The narrator on the commercial is Scottish, so we hear good with food. They rhyme in his accent. And that's the same for all oo and sounds, so that hook and pool are hook and pool. There's no difference between the pull of a rope and pulling a rope in the swimming pool. Pool. Pool and pull are the same. Pool. Finally, listen to this phrase, which will show you a few more features. It's not a problem if you haven't got any. It's not a problem if you haven't got any. Now, this is more to do with dialect than accent. In fact, when you're researching an accent, it's important that you look up any dialect words, any words that are different in that accent than they are for other people. So, for example, rather than saying not, a Scots speaker might say, no, it's not a problem. And rather than haven't, have nae. It's not a problem if you haven't got any.
All right. Do you identify differences? All right. Okay, Celia, can you give me some examples that you identify in the video?
Yes, I mean like you said in the explanation, like this sorry, it's not like R, like como que otro es como más, es como una especie de R, como pero suave in the English, like American stuff. Bueno, capté ejemplos cuando el nombre de como que las palabras como bright, bread, butter, como que es como
Problem.
una especie, pero no de, claro, problem. The difficult ones are like girl and world, because he say, I don't know, like
Girl,
girl, like, so yeah, the R is the most noticeable one. That is like strong is noticeable, but not like a so like here.
Okay, very good. So if you realize like the R, it would be like the R from Russia, like problem, butter, butter, girl, 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 girl. I know there's complications to pronounce, all right? But as I said before, the only way to catch the accent would be when you actually are exposed to that accent and you actually adapt your categories and also how you understand the different words when you talk to someone. Good. All right. Now we're going to jump into another, okay, well, specifically, we're going to go to other sources of variation. And for me, this is very important, the age. The age is a source of variation. In Spanish, do you think that, but not about concepts, don't confuse, because those are not the same. Because of course, adultly, they speak differently as young people do, right? So do you think that the age, let's think about Spanish. Do you think that in terms of accent, okay, in terms of accent pronunciation, do you think there's a difference between olders and young people? Okay, how do you identify those differences? If you say yes, give me examples to understand a little bit more when you say that. Yeah, there are some differences. When I listen to a kid or when I listen to an adolescent and when I listen to a very adult, person. Take your time, think about it.
In my case, the way in which I see it is with my dad. That's the
Oh.
only example I could think about. For example, my dad is 70 now. So yeah. And for example, he has a very, and sometimes this is stressful for me because he's too correct to speak. For example, that difference that I see between me and him or with teenagers, for example, he pronounces all the letters like he's too technical to talk, and he pronounces all the R's and the S's at the end. And nowadays, I don't know, but I have seen that teenagers, or us in this case, sometimes we make words shorter. La cortamos.
Yes.
That is something that we. And my example, or my uncle that is, for example, 80 now, they're not. They're like very, I don't know how to say it, but they pronounce all the words, you know, the final letters, like very technical, and that's a difference that I.
Okay, have you noticed another differences?
Maybe the speed when you speak, for example, the thing like Sylvia, the old people, it's the older people, it's more slow, but the teenagers, so very fast. They don't move her lips, for example. What's going on? What? What are you saying now? I don't know. Maybe with the speed of
Right.
the words or this.
Will be like the reading as well. What about the reading? What about stress or intonation?
Yes, I think it changes. I think it changes when we have a different context, like if we are of countryside, of if we are from the city, of or if we are I don't know, a person that is well educated, or a person that just don't have a or things like that.
All right, like do you mean like a Porsche accent? In the British English, we call that someone that is from a higher class, posh. Okay, like Porsche accent. For example, if you listen to Queen Elizabeth, she used to have like a Porsche accent. Or if you listen to well, the Crown in general in the UK, they have a Porsche accent.
And they
because intonation is like very different. Like they go like this, like oh, I would like to that. I got papa, you know, like it peaks like that. So that was we call like a Porsche accent. Or if you listen to Victoria Beckham, she also has a Porsche accent because she's British. The singer.
There is a movie, teacher, called.
Sorry, no,
there is a movie called. I'm sorry. There is a movie called Snatch that has a lot of British accent, but from parts of the country, like Gypsy, British, so on and so on.
Yeah, do you know? I'm not sure if you knew this, but the British English, it's seen as an accent that gives you a very high status in society. For us, it's not the same because, for example, if we listen to a professor or a teacher who speaks with a British accent, it would be like, oh, that's cool. But because we are in Latin American, so we are very far away from Europe. However, for India, Okay, for the people who live in India, for them it's very important. Rich people in India tend to embrace the culture from the British culture and teach their kids to learn the accent and to embrace the British culture. They tend to send their kids to study London. And you will see that in movies, like most of the movies that are contextualized in London or in the UK in general, they would have an Indian there who speaks with a British accent. And that's something very, very, very common in India because that gives them a status and is related to economy. Because sometimes in Europe or the countries that are around Europe, they tend to see the British accent or the UK in general as something that gives you a high status. So that's what happens. That's why you would see Indian people and they speak with this British accent and not with an American one, because they have that influence from the British culture, not from the American one. But here it's different. You may see that most people in Mexico, they tend to use the American accent because they're close to the United States. Same thing with Chile, Argentina, and the other countries. It's easy to find teachers or English speakers as a foreign language with the American accent and no a British one, because we are not used to consume British TV or British, videos or music. However, we have some very famous singers such as Dua Lipa or Harry Styles, but if you listen to their songs, you will see that they tend to pronounce or they don't sound that British. But if you compare them with Robbie Williams, that's a very famous singer and he's British, he sings with a British accent. But if you listen to Dua Lipa or Harry Styles, you would perceive that it's very different. Also because that's also related to the age. All right. So to continue talking about the age, everybody knows that younger people speak differently from older people. There are some studies that have studied the accent from Queen Elizabeth for about 10 or 20 years, and they realized that her accent changed because she realized that she had to change her push accent to attract young generations. So here we have a sentence like the following: what's the point of going to school if there's no social life? And we have two differences here. All person would pronounce that one like this in English, and a young person would pronounce that phrase like this. So let's say I'm old person, I would say, what's the point of going to school if there's no social life? However, in this one, it's very different. Boy, when we have this one, if, for example, when we have this sound, it's glottal. That means that, for example, when I say water and I say water, that's the symbol. So it would be spoy, go, skull, no, soch, life. So if you see, it would say life, but if you are young, we would say life. Here you would see, sorry, let me get green. Here, for example, in the first one, we would say social. I pronounce the O. Social. social life. However, here we say social, okay, social life, social life, social life. This one would be no. That's really like very posh, like no. This one would be no, 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 no. In this one, oh my God, what happens here? Such as FS would be if this, and this one with this one we have school, and this one we have school, 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 school. This one we have go, 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 go. This would be point, point, point. This would be just so if you see, they make sounds shorter and they eliminate sounds when they speak. Imagine that. Like, what's the point of going to school if there's no social life? And a young person would say, boy goes to school for no social life. Yeah, that's very, very different. Imagine if you had to talk to a young person if you go to London. That's going to be hard for you to get. Same thing with Chilean Spanish. They tend to make sounds shorter, or they just eliminate sound when they speak. I know that some old people tend to eliminate sounds as well, or they recycle some sounds. I don't know if you had the experience, but I had a conversation with a person before, and I noticed that that person used both sounds. For example, when they say fuego or juego, they use the same for juego and fuego. So I remember one time I was talking to a person in Spanish, and he was like, "Oh, I have to see. Me gusta mucho el fuego." And I was like, "The fuego, ¿qué te gusta? El fuego?" No, el fuego, el fuego, el PlayStation, el juego. No, el fuego. So they tend to use those two sounds as the same. You know? So that's very, very funny. Okay. Okay, who wants to give a try to this transcription? Who wants to give a try to that transcription? Come on, just give it a try.
A la primera sí nomás. Porque the second
Oh,
one.
Sylvia, you can be the early now, so you can pronounce the first one.
Okay, just the first one because
Okay.
I'm not going. If I travel to UK, I'm not going to travel. I'm not going to talk to young people. Now I know.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Es que la segunda está muy difícil. Ya. What's the point? No. What's the point of to school if there's no social life?
Remember the schwa, like, what's the point of going to school if there's no social life?
What's the point of going to school if there's no social life?
Now remember the sound of that one is going, going to school if there's no social life. Okay, who wants to do the second one? Shall I pick up one? Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
the Pinocchio game. Ignacio, go with the second one.
Is point going school if no social life?
Live, oi, live,
That's very Scottish.
live.
The point going school if no social life. Life.
Live, yeah. Imagine you go to Liverpool. The people who live in Liverpool, yeah, the accent is also very complicated. They have like a different intonation as well. Okay, let's see more examples. All right. There is an aspect of intonation, okay, intonation as well, that has often been quoted in relation to age differences. For example, there's a use of rising intonation in making statements, a style of speaking that is sometimes called upspeak or uptalk. Okay, and here's a invented example. Is that I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some. So a typical auto pronunciation will be like to use a sequence of falling tones. So based on the rules, it's described that a typical auto pronunciation will be likely to use a sequence of falling tones and not rising tones. All right. Well, we have that example there. Who wants to give it a try? That's not that hard. It's pretty easy. Practice. You Lore?
Okay.
Okay, go.
I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake and I just had to buy some.
You have to buy some.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, sorry, buy some.
Yeah.
Buy some.
Yeah. So I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some. So if you realize, when it's a typical old pronunciation, they would use like just falling tones. I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some. Ms. Rodriguez, give it a try to this one.
I was in Marks and Spencer's, the food section. They had the chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Very good. Sylvia.
The Marks and Spencer's in the food section, they had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Okay. Ms. Reyes.
I was in Marks Spencer in the food section. They had the chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Good. Ignacio.
I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Okay, buy some. Now, try to speed a little bit more. Try to speed a little bit more, because when you speak English, you don't speak like that. So, I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some. So try to speed a little bit. Okay, Nacho, you are going to stop. Speed.
Okay. I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Okay.
Buy some.
Sylvia, speed.
I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Good. It's Rodriguez.
I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had the chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Good. Ms. Reyes.
I was in Marks Spencer in the food section. They had this chocolate cake and just had to buy some.
Okay. Lore.
I was in Marks and Spencer's. In the food section, they had this chocolate cake. Had to buy some.
All right, good. Okay. Now, with the Upspeak version, that would sound as a young person, it would be, I was in Mark Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some. So if you realize at the end, they would have like the falling tone. That's like very British. Like, oh, I was in the Marks and Spencer's. In the food section, they had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some. If you realize, like, teenagers tend to use that, they tend to use that intonation when they speak British English, like tend to use like very rising tones, and then they use at the end the falling one. Okay, Sylvia, give it a try with the upspeak.
I was in Marks and Spencer's in the section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
All right, Danny Rodriguez.
In Max and Spencer's in the food section, they had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Yes. Reyes.
I was in Marks Spencer in the food section. They had a chocolate cake and just to buy some.
Good. Nacho.
I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Yes. Lore.
I was in Marks and I don't know. Okay, again. I was in Marks and Spencer's in the food section. They had this chocolate cake. I just had to buy some.
Okay, good. All right, students. Now, I'm going to give you an activity, pretty short, just 5 minutes. Create a sentence that should be this long as an example. And I want you to use, well, first of all, remember to create the boundaries. Rule 1. Rule number 2, provide the tonic syllable. You have to choose one, and then you have to make differences between rising tone and falling tones for the tonic syllable, right? To compare and contrast your sentences. When we talk about upspeak, or we use the falling tones when we talk about ordals. All right, 5 minutes for that task. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to give you 2 more minutes to practice a little bit more. All right, let's begin. Sylvia, we're going to do the first one. Please read it with the
Okay.
falling one.
Falling. Okay.
First of all,
So, yeah. We went to the pool with Sophie when suddenly we heard a voice. No one there, so we just ran.
okay. Now with the
Very easy. Okay. I'm sorry. Yes. We went to the pool with Sophie when suddenly we heard a voice. Sorry. It was there, so we just ran.
okay, very good. Is Rodriguez?
Okay. I'm here in the park waiting for my husband since 12 p.m. and after an hour he calls me to tell me that he's late.
Okay, now with the ups talk.
Okay, this is the real life. I'm here in the park waiting for my husband since 12 p.m. and after an hour he calls me to tell me that
Okay, very good. Okay, Lore.
Okay, it's quite cold today, but the weather report said that tomorrow is supposed to be nice and sunny.
All right, and now with the up speak or up talk.
It's quite cold today, but the weather report said that tomorrow is supposed to be nice and sunny.
Okay, that's very good. Please write yes.
The following tone. As you may remember, I am a physical education teacher and my specialty is dance and ballet.
Okay, and now with the up speak.
It's the same phrase? It's the same or it can be another?
No, the same phrase, but did you do another one?
Yeah, I do another one.
Okay, if you did, read the one that's different.
Okay. Can you remember when you was a very young girl and you eat a lot of candies?
Okay, that's
Can
cool.
you remember? Can you remember when you was a very young girl and you eat a lot of candies? That's it.
Okay, good. Nacho.
I'm sorry, teacher. Someone was knocking up the door and I have to
Okay,
answer.
that's going to be your homework for the break. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, students, so we're going to take the break now. So after the break, we are going to begin with your final assessment. All right. I'm going to give you 20 minutes so you can practice a little bit more, get ready for your speech, and then you present. Okay, I'm going to use a wheel to check, to select the person who is going to provide the speech first. This is going to be the instruction. Once you finish with your speech, I'm going to provide some feedback that's going to help you and the rest of the class. And then by the chat box, of course, it's going to be private. I'm going to send you your grade. All right? Good. Okay, so now you have 20 minutes. See you at 30 at 8:38. All right. All right. Go and have a cuppa and practice. All right. The break is over. Okay, so we are going to use this wheel to select the first person who's going to present. All right. Are you ready? Okay. Here we go. And first one is Nacho, but Nacho's not here. It's not fair. He hasn't arrived yet. Okay, I think I'm going to go again. Okay, Miss Reyes. Okay, Miss Reyes. So it's now
Okay,
time to begin. Before you begin, I'm going to give you the opportunity to share your screen.
please.
Yes.
I'm here.
Why not?
Oh,
Lucky you. Okay, Miss Reyes.
okay.
Okay, the computer and the class are all yours.
Okay.
Okay, I have
Let me a sec.
Miss Reyes now.
Yes.
You have to read loud.
No.
Okay.
Ignacio,
No,
we're
no,
going to
no.
wait until the end. Daniela's going to present. Okay, so let's pay attention to her now. Okay, Daniel, you have 5
Okay.
minutes.
Can
Yeah,
you see my screen?
yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. Today, I'm going to share with you one of the activities that I love. My presentation is called Being a Dance Teacher. Inspiring passion, creativity, and joy. I invited you to explore why I believe it's one of the most rewarding professions. As you may remember, I am a physical education teacher, and my specialty is dance and ballet. Dance is an art form that's allowed for passionate expression. As a dance teacher, I get to witness the joy that comes from discovering and expressing. I present to you my group. I have a group of dance since 2010. I started with 100 very young girls. This picture is from 2015, maybe 2016. It was very difficult at the beginning, very, very difficult. Today, I have 90 dancers between 5 and 19 years old, students and ex-students from my school. An important part of day started with when they were very, very young, 4 and 5 years old. Now, these students are 17, 18, and 19 years old. It's a lot of time with her, with they. Being a dance teacher, what means being a dance teacher? Well, to me, being a dance teacher means being a mentor and role model. I have the privilege of shaping their life of my students, teaching them not just dance techniques, but also life skills like discipline, teamwork, and self-confidence. They are my students. Dance celebrates the creativity. Being a dance teacher means being a mentor and role model. Dance is a medium that celebrates creativity. You can explore your imagination, you can explore your emotion. It's a very beautiful job. One of the most rewarding aspects of being a dance teacher is inspiring future artists. They are my future artists, guiding young dancers as they discover their potential and pursue their dreams. Also, we create a supportive community. Dance brings people together, creating a supportive community. As a dance teacher, I have the opportunity to foster their sense of belonging and unity. It's a joy to witness friendship and connection formed through the shared love of dance. In our classroom, like I said before, in our classroom, we create a supportive and inclusive environment. Finally, I want to tell you about the most important to me, my dance student. I have a video here. It's not the video, it's without sound. And I want to tell you about my dance students. They are a remarkable group who inspire me every day with their dedication, talent, and enthusiasm for dance. Each student brings their unique personality, dreams, and inspiration to my classroom. In my classroom, I see the shy ones finding their voice, gaining confidence, and that is very beautiful. But what truly touched my heart is the joy they bring to dance to our classroom, the sparkle in their eyes when they master a new step. Their love of dance is contagious, and I am grateful to be a part of their journey. They inspire me to be a better teacher. Together, we dance and create. We create a lot of things. Dance has the power to bring joy to both the dancer and the audience. Being a dance teacher allowed me to spread this joy. Seeing smiles on my student faces and hearing the applause after the performance is incredibly gratifying. Well, that is all. Thank you for your attention to my presentation, and I hope you enjoy it.
Very good, Danny. Thank you very much. Okay, so before we jump into the next one, I'm just going to give you some general comments that would help the rest as well. And then I'm going to write your mark in the chat box, but it's going to be a private message for you. Okay, First of all, congratulations. It was a very, very good presentation. And I'm impressed because as an English teacher, you as a PE teacher, you have a very good English. I just can say that I identified some very little problems, okay? First of all, with two concepts that you missed the pronunciation of the S. For example, when you wanted to say like that is, you say just that, but you missed like that or that is. Or for example, that allows me, all right? Okay, the S sound. And try to include more tonic syllables when you speak. For example, you wrote a question, what means being a dance teacher? So for example, when you read that, it was like level, like a level tone. So I would suggest you say like, what means being a dance teacher? So you emphasize, in the concept that you want to show or you want to highlight, so we can pay attention to that specific thing that you wanted to provide. So comments, work on your intonation, okay, for questions, for the tonic syllable, the things that you want to emphasize, and those two little problems with the S for that's and allows. All right. And just one error, but I'm not going to evaluate that, just for you to check that. It's when you write a question in English, the symbol of the question mark, that's at the end, okay? We don't use two, it's just one at the end, okay? Because the first one, that is for Spanish. In English, we only use that one, just one at the end. Okay, Danny, thank you very much. Okay, who's going next? Pay attention. Okay, so the time has come for you to present. Okay, Lore, the class is yours. Use your time, and now you can share your screen as well.
Okay. Let me share some. No. Okay. Sure. Okay. Well, today I'm going to talk about how language learning boosts another skills. And I know that you know that a lot of studies have examined how learning a new language at different ages can make a difference to the way your brain works. So it's not surprising that these physical changes are accompanied by the improvement of certain other skills, such as communication, creativity, or concentration. The first one is better academic performance. I'll just choose 4 of this long list, but yeah, the first one is better academic performance. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my computer and on my phone, so I just get confused. Okay. So there's this analysis that 20 studies examine language learning and its impact on academic performance. These studies show that 90% of them have a better, yeah, here. Better across a range of academy as than students who don't study a second language. The second one is improved concentration. So just with 1 week of learning a new language has a positive impact on students' levels of alertness or focus. And people who know more than one one language are able to pay attention for around 20% longer than their monolingual friends. So studying a new language will boost students' concentration no matter what age they are. And the number 3 is stronger communication skills. Speaking a second language can help to improve students' abilities to see these things with another perspectives. In turn, this can have a positive impact on their communication skills. So you learn another language. There is this theory that empathy is a key that helps to learn the language. So yeah, and the number 4 is more creativity. And some research across different studies have found that studying a language seems to unlock students' creative abilities, and this could be the result of thought process involving language learning. And in conclusion, whether you are a learner or a teacher of other languages, you are building skills, exercising your brain, and building your cognitive reserves every time you speak a second language. And that's it. Thanks. I don't know.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. Based on your performance, well, I noticed some problems with pronunciation, like the pronunciation of to examine. Okay, that's the pronunciation of that word. Examine. Okay, examine. And focus. No, focus. Focus. You can say in British, you can say focus, or in American, you can say with O, but focus. Okay, no focus. Okay, careful with that. I noticed that there were some problems with tense and lax vowels. Okay, for example, when you say these or this, okay, you have to be very careful with that. Okay, when you use this and these. And same comment that the one that you did to Danny, remember to emphasize certain words when you speak, okay? Use the intonation and provide some tonic syllables for your speech, right? Like, you must know that second learners, they tend to do this. So for example, if you are bilingual, you must be careful with the L2 and not the foreign language. So that's the way, okay, to emphasize on certain words when you speak, right? Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, let's go and take the next speaker. But again, you have to present again.
Yeah, it's alive, giving me another opportunity.
I hope we have someone different. No. Then Reyes again. Okay, I'm going to try one more time.
Why don't you push the hide this name? Like you eliminate our names. Like right there at the hide choice. Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Rodriguez. The time has come for you to present. Now the class is yours.
Okay. I didn't make a PPT, a presentation.
Okay.
Sorry for that. Because this is a very important topic for me. It's more a reflection. about dreams. It's my love of life, dreams. And these are not my words, but I identify with this book. The name is The Four Agreements. I don't know if you know about this book, but talk and speak about the society and our dreams and how our brain work with this society's work. Okay, so I read this reflection for you and for all of us. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous because this is my word, my insight. Okay, what you think and hear right now is nothing but a dream. You are dreaming right now in this moment. You are dreaming with the brain awake. Dreaming is the main function of the mind, and the mind dreams 24 hours a day. It dreams when the brain is awake and also dreams when the brain is asleep. The difference is that when the brain is awake, there is a material frame that makes us perceive things in a linear way. When we go to sleep, we don't have the frame, and the dreams has the tendency to change constantly. Humans are dreaming all the time. Before we were born, the humans before us created a big outside dream that the world calls society's dream, or the dream of the planet. The dream of the planet is a collective dream of billions of smaller personal dreams, which together create a dream of the family, a dream of the community, a dream of the city, a dream of the country, and finally, a dream of the whole humanity. The dream of the planet includes all the society's rules, its belief, its laws, its religion, its different cultures, and a way to be its government, school, society, events, and holidays. We are born with the capacity to learn how to dream, and the humans who live before us teach us how to dream the way society's dream. The outside dream has too many rules that when a human is born, he hook the child attention and introduce these rules into her or her mind. The outside dream uses mom and dad, the schools, and the religion to teach us how to dream. I don't know if you understand very good this.
Yes, it was very deep, very good. Thank you. Okay, I have to say that in terms of speech sounds, I just brain works. Okay, pronunciation of S, brain works. That's the only problem I realized and I listened and I identified. In terms of intonation, I think you did pretty good. Okay. Maybe you may use rising tones a little bit more. That would be better. Okay. But in terms of the tonic syllable, I identified the word that you wanted to highlight in your speech. Okay, so very good on that. And there were some words, okay, but that was not all, but there were like 3 or 4 words that I got a little bit confused, okay, about things you were saying, but that's all. Okay, but in general, it was a very good speech. Thank you very much, Danny. All right, who's going next? We have Nacho. Nacho, do you want to go? Okay, so Sylvia, you're going to be the last one.
Yes, I do. I want to come next. I'm gonna start in present, sharing screen, I mean.
Okay.
Okay, and here we go. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Participants can now see. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna start right now. I am Ignacio Silva. I'm a translator working as an English teacher. I'm gonna share with you this story that I wrote to the another class, the Inglés Comunicacional 2. I wrote a short story, but for this assignment, I had to make it longer. So here we go. Ignacio Silva, Bear and Wolf Story. Okay. Once upon a time, in the heart of a vast forest, there lived a bear named Bruno and a wolf named Max. They were fierce enemies, constantly locked in battles for territory and food. Bruno was a massive brown bear with powerful paws and sharp claws, while Max was a sleek and agile gray wolf who led a cunning pack. One beautiful spring morning, as the sun cast its golden rays through the towering trees, Bruno found himself ensnared in a treacherous trap set by poachers. He thrashed and roared in agony, caught in the snare. Nearby, Max and his pack heard the commotion and swiftly made their way to the distressed bear. With their natural animosity set aside, the wolves circled Bruno, their minds racing to find a solution. Max, known for his cleverness, took charge. Some of the wolves dug frantically around the snare, while others fit and knocked at the rope, trying to set Bruno free. The bear's growls of pain echoed through the forest, but the wolves persevered, driven by a shared determination. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the snare snapped, and Bruno was released from its grip. Exhausted and grateful, he slumped onto the ground, looking at the wolves with newfound admiration. Max approached cautiously, sensing the shift in their dynamic. Bruno's massive frame softened as he nodded gratefully. From that day forward, Bruno and Max forged an unlikely friendship. They met by the river, sharing stories and wisdom from their different worlds. Bruno taught Max about the forest's hidden treasures, the best fishing spots, and where to find the sweetest berries. In return, Max revealed the art of stealth and the thrill of hunting as a pack. As the season ended, their bond grew stronger, and word of their friendship spread throughout the woods. The once fierce enemies now stood side by side, protecting their shared home from any threats that came their way. Their tale became a beacon of hope, reminding all creatures that friendship could be found even in the unlikeliest of places. And so they continued to roam the forest together, a bear and a wolf, teaching others that understanding and compassion can overcome even the deepest of rivalries. The forest flourished under their watchful eyes as peace and harmony prevailed. And that's the story. No sé si entendí bien el objetivo, pero
yeah, that's
traté
it.
de...
I just ask you to, provide speech and create a presentation. Okay, Nacho, I have two things. I identified one problem with what concept. It's not treasure, Sh is not sh, it's j. Treasures, treasures. Okay, treasures, precious. And in terms of intonation, okay, you need to improve a little bit more because that's supposed to be a fairy tale. So if you are storytelling something, you need to emphasize, right? Like the bear and this was doing that. So try to emphasize a little bit more. So I think that that was the problem, the intonation, because you were reading a story, but you need to provide that intonation to that story because you need to cut my attention. That's the idea. You need to emphasize on those words that are important. Okay. And of course, if you're reading, you need to emphasize a little bit more. Okay, Nacho. Thank you very much. Sylvia, you close this lesson. So now the class is yours.
No. No. Ok, espere, esto lo decía en español. ¿Puede compartirme, pero con la Silvia que no tiene la cámara prendida? Que estoy de dos cosas. Please.
Yes, you can do it.
Ok, thank you. Ok. ¿Puede escucharme bien, cierto? Porque parece que tengo un problema a veces con,
Yes,
¿no?
we can listen
Ah,
to
ok.
you.
Ok, ya. Ok. Is chart, está cargando. Yeah, my presentation, by the way, o sea, the PPT is just to give atmosphere, okay? It's not, it doesn't say nothing like important. It's just pictures. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay, so my presentation is called More Than Pets. That's the general name. And basically I'm going to talk about like I'm going to give mostly a personal opinion and reflection about the topic. So these are all my ideas and personal thoughts. So talking about dogs or pets in general is always a topic of division, you know, between people, no matter where you go. I must recognize that sometimes I overreact when it's about animals or I'm too overprotective, especially about cats and dogs, and even more when it's about dogs. I don't know why, but I kind of have an obsession for dogs. Probably you can say that it's a hobby, but not just a hobby. I prefer to call it a conscious topic of interest for me. Believe me, I have lost count on how many people have said to me, like, why do you care so much? It's just a dog. Why do you spend or buy all that? It's just a dog. And my favorite one, why you humanize them? They are just dogs. So, I mean, I get it. I even think it's very conscious when people is able to recognize they don't like pets or animals in any way and don't prefer to have them. That is much better than continue having unconscious people who abandon or mistreat them. But I don't want to focus on the subject of irresponsible, unconscious, and mean people that we all know and we are very aware, because we always give attention to bad people. And don't get me wrong, I talk about that too, all the time by sharing cases and adoption. And unfortunately, I have talked about these people that are not very conscious about the topic. Sorry. Instead, I would like to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to the people who have gave a chance to many animals, many cats and dogs, and around the country, because they had made more than that. I mean, they had changed a life and had given someone an opportunity in this world. An opportunity to live, love, eat, play, and enjoy the simple things. An opportunity to also know, even if it's just a little, the good side of human race. And also I want to thank, personally, dogs. I know it might sound crazy, but personally speaking, they have changed my life, you know, and they have made me a better person. I think that at the end, I am not the one that humanized them. They actually humanize me. They made me a better human being because, like I have always said, when you're capable of taking care of someone that is not you and you're able to give someone the best quality of life that he or she deserves, And when you do that with someone that is not a human, it's someone that doesn't speak your same language, I think that says something very valuable and says a lot about yourself. That is actually one of my most favorite sentences everywhere. Like, how you treat an animal says a lot about yourself. I think it happens because we can pretend around people or between people, but with dogs, it's very difficult if you try to pretend. It's very noticeable to see if you like dogs or cats or not. So, as I was saying, they changed my perspective about many things, and they had been my best friends. They have made me feel less lonely when sometimes I feel that way. They care about me, and they just want for me simple things. They're not extremely demanding. I mean, they are when it comes to affection and time, but for nothing else. Not for money or material things, just with you, with the people they love, is enough for them. And I don't know what else to say about the most amazing beings on this planet for me. I just hope that with time, more and more can find a place, a home, and their person, which is a common phrase that American people said, like, you're my person and stuff. The one they will follow everywhere, the one they are going to choose and be faithful to. I think that we have so much to learn from them, like faithfulness, trust, forgiveness, unconditional love, and so much. So finally, and personally again speaking, in my specific situation, I like to thank to my angels. They have been part of my life and they have crossed my life at some point in different ways and had made a journey with me. They grew up with me, and until now, they have been the loves of my life. So that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Very good, Sylvia. Very cute presentation. I also love dogs as well. Okay, Sylvia, about your presentation, I have to say that the intonation was very good because I feel that you emphasize a lot on different aspects, the ones that you wanted us to focus on. So very good. Some problems with some vowels though. For example, you say cats instead of cats. Okay, so I don't know if it's looking at cats or cats. Or you use, I don't know if it's because you transfer from Spanish to English, but I listened you instead of you. Okay, I listened to you, a little vibration. Remember, it's you, that's the pronunciation. And I perceived some problems with boundaries because, for example, you said, I talk about this all the time. It would be better to say, I talk about this all the time. So careful with those boundaries when you speak. Okay. Okay, good. So we are going to take your points and then I'm going to give you your mark. Okay. I'm going to send it by the chat box. I already did that with the rest of you. Okay, before you leave, I have to give the final assessment that's going to be pretty short. Okay, this final assessment and you're going to have until Thursday. It's going to be quite short and it's not going to take a long time for you. So, to share my screen with you. Where is it? This one, yeah, it's this one. All right, so students, this is a final assessment. You need to read, okay, these sentences. You have the transcription next to the sentence. For example, we can wait for the bus, okay? We can wait for the bus. So I want you to read all those sentences in just one video, and you must provide the tonic syllable, okay? You come up with the tonic syllable. You decide. That's going to be your decision. Which word you want to emphasize in the sentence. So you're going to have the normal spelling, okay, on the left and the transcription on the right. So that will help you to provide the correct pronunciation of the speech sounds, both consonants and also vowels. Besides the speech sounds, you must be careful with the tonic syllable on one hand, and on the other hand, you must be careful with the correct stress. So pay attention to the stress. Remember the symbol, right? Remember the symbol. So you have to use, if you want to use the falling one or the rising one, that's going to be up to you, right? You decide on that. That's going to be your deal. So you're going to have until June 22nd. That's on Thursday. All right. Same thing. You have to upload the video to Virtual Unat. Okay. And I'm going to use the same rubric. I'm going to evaluate speech sounds, okay, vowels, consonants. That's why you have the transcription there. I'm going to evaluate the stress. Also, you have the stress and the same transcription. Intonation. Remember, you need to provide the tonic syllable, the one that you want to provide. Clarity of communication. That's an overall, it means how you pronounce every single speech sounds, including the stress and intonation. And finally, the overall pronunciation. It means that I can grasp all the different speech sounds and also the information from your speech. That gives you 20 points at the end, right? I'm going to check your videos because I said before, I had some problems with the link. So I would like you to send me to the WhatsApp group, right? The link for the videos so I can access to the videos easier in terms, because it's been a mess for me reaching, what you have to, what you send and upload it. I'm going to upload this assessment to Virtual Unat. So you're going to find that thing there. So you're going to have enough time to practice, okay? Are the instructions clear for the assessment? Yes? Good.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to send the link before you leave. I'm going to send the link for you to check the attendance.
Teacher,
Yes.
my video in Drive. I share my video in Drive now.
Yes. Where to my
Good,
email?
or maybe in WhatsApp.
Yes.
It's much better in WhatsApp. Yes.
It's better in WhatsApp. Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Teacher,
Yes, Sylvia. Yeah, I saw it.
I
just saw your message. Yeah.
you saw it. Okay, that's the link where you can find all of us, all of our folders.
Okay,
Sorry.
good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But if you can upload it there. Pero ahí puede acceder al de todos nosotros, el de la Lore, Danis, everyone. Nacho.
Okay. Okay, so I just sent your mark. All right, class. It's been a pleasure again. This is the end of Phonetics 2. Well, I think I'm going to meet you all again in November for the that would be I think it's November, I'm not sure. I just imagine it's November because there's some other courses before this one. That is Proyecto de Aula. That's going to be the final one. And yeah, I'm going to be in charge of that. Okay, no more phonetics. We're going to focus on teaching and projects and research. All right, so it's been a pleasure. I hope to see you all again. Okay, and well, if something happens, just you can text me or you can send me an email. I hope you have all your grades by Thursday. If there's a problem with something, just let me know. Okay? So have a very beautiful night and a nice week. It's a holiday on weekend, sorry, on Wednesday, so going to be a free day for all of you. Okay, except Lore, perhaps Lore, you're not going to have a free day on Wednesday, but for us that we are in Chile, we're going to have a break on Wednesday. Okay, so and then also enjoy Monday as well, because it's going to be a long weekend as well. Yes. And for those who are teaching at the moment at school, have an amazing end of term. I know it's a chaos at school, but you can do it. Okay. So see you soon. Have a very beautiful end of diplomas again. No, it's not diploma, postítulo. I was confused. Have a very end of postítulo. Okay. So see you all. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye
See
bye.
you.
Cheers.
Thank
Bye.
you. Cheers.
Thank you, teacher. Bye. Take
Bye
care.
now.
Thank you for all. Thank you
Try
very
to
much.
lecture.